the tangent of the day, which is West Coast music has always allowed non-West Coast artists to shine. What do I mean by that? You gotta think about it. Bone Thugs, Eminem, Dr. Dre, all these artists shined on West Coast production. Why? Because generally, as a listener, most fans from across the country, if you're from the West Coast and you're on West Coast production, it's just too West Coast. And even though I love West Coast music and I came up in West Coast music, I produce West Coast music, I got a couple West Coast sounding records, I'm at least aware enough to understand that too West Coast is not listenable to most people across the country, because that's just not, it's just so it's just such a regional sound that you really have to love hip hop at its core. That's why a lot of the West Coast artists that are universally successful, OGs, Too Short, E40, these artists were huge in their prime 15, 20 years ago. And they're still huge because those records are like that. But nowadays, I think a lot of West Coast artists, specifically after the DJ Mustard run, which to me, honestly, it was West Coast, but it became so commercial that it became the sound. And so even though that was a super commercial sound that took over the industry, you think Show Me with Chris Brown and Kid Ink, Tyga, I mean, so many records that were either made by Mustard or emulated by Mustard. If you really put Mustard on the verses, you're talking about some major records and tons of just classic sounds. But of course that became so popular that people didn't realize that the sound that they were loving at that moment was the West Coast sound. I even got a record called Bad with my guy Any Means and K Young, which has that exact same sound. So again, a lot of people like to talk down on the West Coast sound, not realizing that the West Coast has ran hip hop for a few different